All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Sterling Heights City Council to order. If you would, please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our elected officials, grant them courage and wisdom to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. May. Can we please have the roll call?
Mayor Taylor?
Here.
Mrs. Sarowski?
Here.
Mrs. Koski?
Present.
Mr. Radke?
Present.
Mrs. Schmidt?
Present.
Mr. Yanez?
Here.
Mrs. Zarko?
Present.
Thank you, Council. We need approval of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Koski.
move to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? No discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. First item on our agenda tonight is a report from our city manager, Mark Vanderpool. Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. It's always nice when we have a state legislator with us to share the good work they're doing on behalf of the city. And this evening, I'm pleased to introduce Senator Michael Weber, who'd like to take a few minutes and update us on some of the legislative activities.
Thank you so much, City Manager Vanderpool and Mayor Taylor and the council members. Michael Weber, State Senator for District 9, which includes Sterling Heights, of course, Shelby Township, Utica, the Greater Rochester area, and Troy. Here with a spring legislative update. Hope to come back in the fall. Obviously, the big item on the agenda right now is, besides road funding, is the budget, and we'll talk about both of them. The Senate did pass a budget last week. Obviously, it's just a starting point, but we are looking at a 10% increase in statutory revenue sharing, which includes the current formula for distributing that money that Senator Cherry's been working on over the last few years as he's chaired that budget. The constitutional revenue sharing is at 2.3%, and we have not given up, or we've not lost faith in terms of pushing for revenue sharing trust fund legislation. It's been introduced in the House, and we are going to also introduce it again in the Senate. As you've been following, there's also the Public Safety and Violence Prevention Trust Fund that the House did pass, and so that is out there. And I think last term I used to think that they were kind of competing proposals, but now I think they can probably be done in conjunction with each other. In terms of the road funding package, obviously, the governor's talked about it, and the House did pass a road funding plan with bipartisan support that would mean an additional $3.1 billion annually for long-term road funding. They did it with existing tax revenue, and we can get you the details on what they did there, like the fiscal analysis on that. But I think the key for, as a former city councilman, the key for me would be it's trying to direct those dollars more towards local road repairs and not necessarily have it all go through that Act 51 formula. So to give you an idea, City of Sterling Heights would directly receive 144% increase in that type of funding, or $23 million. And Macomb County, 109% increase, or $90 million in new revenue for roads. So, the Senate, we have a placeholder in our Senate budget for that $3 billion, and I think a lot of folks have kind of centered around that $3 billion money figure. It's just how we're going to get there. And so that's going to be the compromise between the House, the Senate, and the governor, and I think, again, as part of that budget process. A couple other quick notes. Obviously, we're very excited about the new fighter jet squadron mission at Selfridge, and that's truly was a team effort led by the governor, and I like to think our Michigan Aerospace and Defense Caucus had a role to play in that, and obviously our congressional delegation. So, that is a plus for us. We continue to kind of push on statewide sound wall funding mechanism. I introduced that last session after kind of working with the city of Troy and others on sound walls. Senate Bill 80, and then Representative Ron Robinson has the bill in the House, 4084. That actually did pass the House Transportation Committee with broad bipartisan support, but essentially this would set up a funding mechanism within MDOT that the legislature would put money into, and then it would be, local governments could apply for funds through, a grant program, and it would help us fill those funding gaps that the federal government does not cover. Lastly, I just wanted to mention, for the first part of the year, we certainly worked in a bipartisan basis on something that affects a lot of businesses in Sterling Heights, and that is the tipped credit for the restaurants and hospitality industry and the earned sick leave. We had a lot of restaurant workers, small businesses, voice their concerns about these new mandates that were set to take effect on February 21st. They called on us to find a solution, and we did find a bipartisan solution that weighed concerns from both employees and employers while keeping jobs in Michigan and helping small businesses keep their doors open. So again, not a perfect proposal, but certainly a compromise, and we continue to work on that. Lastly, for residents here and at home, for more information and to sign up for our monthly e-news, please visit senatormichaelweber.com or call our office 517-373-0994. So, thank you.
And Mayor, I wanted to thank Senator Weber, and I also wanted to highlight that there is some important state legislation forthcoming with respect to Lakeside. As you know, the state legislature is considering increasing the transformational brownfield cap, which would qualify the Lakeside redevelopment project, which is really the last hurdle for the developer to clear, so that finally demolition can start and the project can get underway. And that's also tied to the Detroit Renaissance Center project as well. So you're going to be hearing much more about that. I know Senator Weber is very interested in that forthcoming legislation. There's likely going to be strong bipartisan support, but we appreciate our legislative team's good work.
Thank you.
And Mayor, continuing on with my report, I just wanted to remind everyone that, of course, with the Memorial Day holiday coming up, we have a couple of closures. Well, our buildings are closed on Monday, of course, but refuse will be delayed one day next week, so please take note of that. So there will be no collection on Monday. Friday's collection will occur on Saturday, so everything will be delayed one day. Please take note. It's easy to forget. I always do, but that starts on Monday. Also, we have our Memorial Day Parade on Monday. This is our 46th annual Memorial Day Parade. All the festivities begin the Memorial Day ceremony at 9 a.m. in the courtyard. Many of you have been there. We get thousands of residents that come out for this, and even visitors from around the area. This year's theme is We Are One, honoring our past, uniting our future. The ceremony will feature remarks from our 2025 Grand Marshal, Sterling Heights resident, John Jack Jones, who served in the Navy during World War II and is 104 years old. And what a national treasure our Grand Marshal is. And you're all going to get to hear from him firsthand at this ceremony. So he's on the screen. He looks great.
Yeah.
He can't be 104, but that is an updated picture. So you're all in for a real treat. We don't often get to experience something like this, but his remarks are certainly going to be memorable. So please put that on your calendar. Also, Mayor Taylor, Chairperson of the Arts Commission, Jean Shabath Lewis, will be speaking. And in keeping with our long-standing tradition, the First Michigan Colonial Fife and Drum Corps will be performing once again, marking their 44th year performing at our event. And here again, Sterling Heights resident Mark Logston will once again direct the corps, and he's been doing so for over 40 years. So we're really glad to have our Sterling Heights residents, take part in this amazing ceremony and great parade. In addition, to cap off what is sure to be one of the best parades, the Tuskegee Airmen Museum once again will be conducting a flyover just before the start of the parade. We're really proud of our affiliation with the Tuskegee Airmen Museum, and this is a sight to behold. So look forward to the parade starting at 9. The ceremony, the parade actually starts at 10. It's going to be great weather. It's going to be in the low 70s, surely sunny, so it's going to be a great event. And just a couple other reminders. I do want to call to everyone's attention the fireworks law in the state of Michigan. State law prohibits the city from banning the use of consumer fireworks on the following days. And I mention this now because the Memorial Day holiday is when it starts. So these fireworks, consumer-grade fireworks, can be used on Saturday and Sunday of this forthcoming weekend, but not on Memorial Day. So that is not allowed. Likely with the 4th of July holiday coming up, fireworks can be used the 29th through the 4th, and also Saturday and Sunday immediately preceding Labor Day. I want everyone to take note of that. Of course, we'll post more information on our website. We do enforce this. Fireworks are prohibited the rest of the days, with the exception of New Year's, throughout the year. So a lot of cities allow them in more rural areas. We do not in Sterling Heights, but for these state mandated days in which they can be used. And ending on a really good note, the splash pad is opening on Saturday, this Saturday. So take note of that. It opens at noon to 8 p.m. It might be a little cool on Saturday, but the kids don't care. It could be 40 degrees, and they would love to be in the splash pad. So it will certainly be busy. The splash pad is a point of pride for the city. It's widely used. We have tens of thousands of kids that come out every year to use it. I think it's over 100,000 now. It's free to residents. If you're a non-resident, you have to pay $5, but it's still a pretty good deal. So that opens up this Saturday. And Mayor, that concludes my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Vanderpool. Next on our agenda tonight is a presentation. This is a presentation to adopt a resolution recognizing and congratulating Taurus Products Incorporated on the milestone of reaching 55 years of successful business operations. And for this, we have a presentation from our city manager, Mark Vanderpool. Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sorry you got to listen to me for a few minutes longer, but this is a really exciting topic. As you know, we love talking about the businesses in Sterling Heights. We have an incredibly vibrant business community in Sterling Heights. You heard at our last city council meeting, we recognized a startup company that won a national award for the good work they're doing in Washington, D.C., and they started out of their garage. And this evening, we're going to be talking about another company that started out of their garage and has become incredibly successful. It's a family-owned business named Taurus, and they employ about 100 people, so they'd be considered on the small side. We talk a lot about Stellantis and Ford Motor Company, and you heard tonight about the BAE scholarships and General Dynamics. But as we always say, it's the small businesses that really are the economic engine of our local economy and our national economy. So we're blessed to have businesses like Taurus and Sterling Heights. They're family-owned. In fact, the family's here. They're going to be introduced shortly. They focus on advanced manufacturing, and I emphasize advanced because when you see what they do, it is really impressive. And in the areas of aerospace, defense, automotive, manufacturing. And what they're doing is, to say impressive is a gross understatement. Again, they started 55 years ago in Mr. Gregg's garage. You're going to hear more about that. And they've been in Sterling Heights. The focal point tonight is that they're celebrating their 40th year in Sterling Heights. Pretty remarkable. So we're happy to kick off this presentation with the following video.
Their journey from humble startup to global leader in precision manufacturing exemplifies the impact of innovation, quality, and a steadfast commitment to customer satisfaction. Their legacy continues to shape industries and set benchmarks for excellence in manufacturing. And for the past 40 years, Taurus has proudly called Sterling Heights home. Starting the company out of his garage in 1969, Douglas Gregg made use of his talents, building electronic discharge machine parts, laying the groundwork for what would become a full line of EDM machines tailored for mold makers.
From there, we went on and built larger machines, and so then there was a need for us to move to somewhere else, and we chose Sterling Heights. Over the years, we had to expand. We started off with probably 40,000 square feet, and then every year, every 5 years or so, we built another building, and we finally built the biggest building in the back. One other cool thing that my dad had to do with that is we built a train track basically to go between the buildings, just because we needed to be able to ship the bigger equipment back and forth. So that was kind of neat.
Much of Taurus's success comes from a philosophy of self-sufficiency and doing things the right way.
Anytime we wanted a new machine or something, we had to make it. We didn't buy a machine, we made it. One of the things I learned from that, I used to get frustrating at first, like, why are we doing all this here, But over the years, you find out why. You learn about things that you normally wouldn't learn about. You learn how to make things a certain way versus just sending it somewhere else, let them do it, let them figure out how to do it. It just gives you a better knowledge on how to do things in the future. And it might have cost us more money, but again, it taught us things that we wouldn't have learned if we didn't do that.
Taurus's product portfolio is comprehensive, from 5-axis CNC machines to advanced automotive design studio solutions like the clay mill. From coordinate measuring machines essential for quality control, to gun drilling machines used for deep, precise drilling.
Well, right now we're doing what we call a gun drilling machine. It's for water cooling systems for nuclear reactors. So it's a very large machine, has 3 spindles, and has to be very accurate. It's built very rigid because it has to be able to drill with 3 spindles at once. It's pretty interesting because the size of the tube sheets they'll be doing are like 20 feet diameter. The clay model machines, we just keep adding more options. So all that technology, just keep adding a little bit more all the time to improve it.
With a strong local customer base and a global reach, Taurus's commitment to quality means many of their machines, some built as early as the 1970s, are still operational today. A testament to their durability and the company's dedication to excellence.
Because we have done everything in-house and we can easily adapt and modify any type of machinery, that's really helped with our customers because they know they can come to us and say, hey, I need this machine a little bit bigger, I need a little bit smaller. Well, we can react and do that because we're not making, 1,000 of these at a time. We're a little smaller niche market, and that's what I think's been able to help us. And again, making specialized machines just, for what the customer wants really adds value to them, and that's what's kept us as good partners for so long.
And Mayor and Council, you really have to tour the facility to really appreciate the ingenuity that has gone on there over the years. Mr. Bonner and I had a chance to go through there, and as the CEO, David Gregg, said, they produce everything. Normally, to install railroad track, you'd farm that out. A contractor come in and do that, but they designed it, built it, and constructed it themselves. The software systems that run the machinery, they design the interfaces, and then that's used by other businesses. Mr. Gregg actually developed the coding for the software. And I know his sons do that as well. Maybe not as good as their father, but they do it as well now. It's really impressive. It's all self-contained, and it's right here in Sterling Heights. I wanted to talk a little bit about the economic impact, because we talk about this a lot with manufacturing jobs. They have the highest economic multiplier. Normally, it's 5 to 7 times for every job. That's how many other jobs are created downline, if you will. Even using a conservative factor of 3 in this case, with 100 employees with an average salary that may be around $75,000, and maybe actually more than that. I know it's proprietary, so I don't want to put you on the spot. But even using a conservative factor, the annual economic impact of Taurus to Sterling Heights and the surrounding area is over $20 million. That's annually. That's pretty darn impressive. And that's been going on for 40 years in our city. In addition, and they may not like to hear this number, but the Tauruses have paid over $4 million in property taxes over the last 40 years, supporting our schools, supporting roads, supporting police services and fire services, over $4 million. Pretty impressive. And residents in our city enjoy low taxes because of our very strong manufacturing and commercial tax base because of companies like Taurus. And I also want to call out and thank our senior economic development advisor, Luke Bonner, who's worked very closely with the Taurus company. He's over here on my left, and he's done a lot of work, collaborated with Taurus over the years, and made sure that they don't even think about trying to locate somewhere else. So I do appreciate Mr. Bonner's good work. And Mayor, at this point, I'd like to introduce George Cook with Taurus, who's now going to handle the next part of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager Vanderpool, Mayor Taylor. Thank you for having us. We at Taurus, we're humbled and grateful for this honor by the City of Sterling Heights. Dating back about 40 years ago, Taurus always felt like it had a partner in its growth and development with the city. Starting in the mid-1980s, the City of Sterling Heights offered tax abatements and other incentives for Taurus to come to the city to grow and to prosper. Throughout the years, the city has been an outstanding partner. Not only excellent in the city services it provides, like safety, fire, streets, and so forth, but the City of Sterling Heights has been a real partner in our story of growth and development. We've had numerous interactions with the city's economic development team over the years. They've always come with curiosity, a growth mindset, and eagerness to help us to grow and prosper. Taurus does business on 5 continents and sees firsthand how other centers of manufacturing around the world work. There are only 3 other places in the world that have manufacturing centers like Automation Alley, anchored by Sterling Heights. However, none have the deep synergies that are demonstrated by the actions of communities like the City of Sterling Heights. The effort the city takes to make sure the entire ecosystem and of advanced manufacturing stays knowledgeable, is working together, and moving forward is nothing short of remarkable and commendable. We thank the City of Sterling Heights for 40 great years of partnership and growth. There's no place Taurus would rather be. Thank you.
And Mayor, that concludes the presentation, but I know that the Gregg family would like the council to come down and take a picture once you introduce the resolution and congratulate them.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Vanderpool. Council, we do have a suggested action.
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Sarowski.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolved to adopt the resolution recognizing and congratulating Taurus Products Incorporated on the milestone of reaching 55 years of successful business operations.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion?
Just very briefly, so congratulations on this achievement of being in the city for 40 years, but the business for 55. Thank you for being here. It's important, as Mr. Vanderpool said, to have, and George mentioned, to have such a great partnership with our businesses. And this is one that's really stellar, and we're very grateful that you're here. I have to say, my parents owned a very small manufacturing business with injection molds for private airplane parts. So I got to see growing up how that worked, just the manufacturing end of things. And well, yours is a little bigger and very impressive, as I said. So I'm just grateful that we have you here, and we got to meet you. So thank you, Mayor Taylor.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Mrs. Schmidt.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. I just want to say congratulations. I happened to be watching you instead of the video.
I know, yeah.
And I have to tell you that this whole middle section pretty much is all employees and family, or the joy and the pride on all of your faces when you were all watching that video was so amazing to me. I think if you're not family, you're family by choice, we say, in our family. And it just proves that a vision can grow into something that's so successful. And as Mr. Vanderpool said, something about machine shops starting in garages. My son's shop where he works started in a garage. The company that was here a couple weeks ago started in a garage. But it's that vision and that drive to be successful and to really help our whole region. You have done incredible work, and I'm sure you will continue to do incredible work into the future. So congratulations, and thank you for being such a contribution to our community.
Thank you, Ms. Schmidt. Anyone else? Mrs. Zarko.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. Well, congratulations to all of you on this success. And you take DIY to a different level when it comes to doing it yourself. So, and I appreciate you sharing that with all of us. But most importantly is your success becomes our success. And that's why you're a great business partner. We're glad that you're here. So thank you for choosing Sterling Heights. And
Thank you.
congratulations again.
Mrs. Koski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also would like to say congratulations. You love Sterling Heights the same as I do. I've been here, I think, 1 year longer than you. I am impressed by the way you have ran your company. You actually make things yourself, your machines. It's very, very impressive. And I am so pleased that you have chosen Sterling Heights to grow in. And just remember, if you need anything or you have any ideas or you need help with anything at all, please feel free to give us a call. We thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Ms. Koski. Mr. Yanis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not going to go without saying thank you since everybody else did as well. There's not a whole lot I can add, but I have to tell you, as I'm watching that video, first of all, your operation is incredibly impressive. But I went back to the 1970s when I first graduated high school, and I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do with my life, and I ended up in a machine tool shop wiring machines. And back then, they were control panels with relays. There was no controllers. We wired relays. And I have to tell you, I was always jealous of the CNC guy because he would program the machine and he'd crack open an ice cold bottle of Tab and he'd sit there while the machine is running. And, we were climbing all over the machines and getting oily and stuff. But, your business gives people, kids like me, an opportunity to make a great living. And you've done tremendous work. You've grown your business. You've given tons of people opportunity. And you've contributed to our community as well. And for that, we should definitely say thank you so much. I love the stories about, Apple has always been my favorite story, started in the garage. Like Ms. Schmidt said 2 weeks ago, we had a guy starting out of his garage. You start out of your garage. You know, we got a lot of people, we got a lot of garages in town. Maybe we'll have a lot more Tauruses coming down the line, but anyways, congratulations on this award and all your years of being a great partner here in Sterling Heights. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Yanez. Mr. Radke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess before the mayor, I'm the last one to thank you, but we tremendously appreciate businesses like yours in Sterling Heights. You pay the taxes that make our tremendous city function. And more than that, it just shows the ingenuity that we have here in Sterling Heights. You're the second business in 2 weeks now to come in and talk to us about just how tremendous they started out just by doing the basic things and then grew. So I'm proud to have you here today. We appreciate your work. We hope you're here another 50 years because we want to make it the best place to do business and to live in the state of Michigan. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Radke. One more, congratulations, and thank you for your investment in Sterling Heights, your continued ingenuity. We've heard a lot in the news about bringing manufacturing back to America, but what I think sometimes they fail to mention is we got it already, and we've got it in places like Sterling Heights. We've heard from a number of companies recently. Yours is truly remarkable. You're building products here. You're building machines to build products here, supporting local industries. So we thank you for that, and you're a testament to the fact that manufacturing is strong in the United States, and there's a good business case to be made for manufacturing, not just in the U.S., but here in the city of Sterling Heights. So thank you for that. Congratulations on this milestone achievement. So we're going to vote, and then I'll invite the council to come down. We'll meet, and as many people that want to get in the photo can get in the photo. We have cramped space up here, but we'll make it work. We always do. So council, without any further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, join me, council.
Out of it.
Congratulations.
All the important guys, huh?
Congrats, yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah.
Someone's over there. Over there. That was good. Nice business.
No, I'm good right now. You guys are good.
You need to stay away from it. Oh, is that what it is? It doesn't look like it. No, it just looks like you got irritation.
Thank you. Thank these two gentlemen. Thank these two gentlemen. Take a 5-minute break. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it. It means a lot. Maybe at 50.
Well, Barb's holding court.
Yeah, so. Deanna's down there too. Let's,
Yeah, I'm gonna give him like 15 seconds.
gavel. All right, we got one.
Come on, Deanna.
Go take a nap in my office. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, guys. Thank you.
I'm going to be very fast. Oh, hush. When I come to present the
You're welcome. Thank you to everyone from Taurus. All right, we will move on to the next item on our agenda tonight, which is to consider introduction of ordinances, amending Article 14B of zoning ordinance number 278 to create neighborhood and district nodes in the zoning map to delineate the parcels included in the newly created nodes. We have a presentation from our city planner, Dr. Jake Parcell. Dr. Jake.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor, members of council, Mr. Vanderpool and Mr. Koszybski. Very excited to be here this evening, especially because I'm not following Toby, so it makes my job a little easier tonight. But I do have a presentation if Mr. Rizek could put it up for me. We are here this evening now. It has been discussed once already, but brought back after the previous postponement for what is now the neighborhood and district node ordinance. The concept for this is rooted in the traditional mixed-use development nodes, which were established in the 2017 Master Land Use Plan, and then were adopted as an ordinance for an overlay in the 2021. The 2025 Master Land Use Plan reimagined these by categorizing them as district and neighborhood nodes. This is the kind of identifying information for them, which is what the zoning ordinance change is retitled. Planning Commission unanimously adopted the approval of both the zoning text and map amendments. So here is a list of the changes that this is going to be making. Your neighborhood nodes will now be DeQuindra Road and 17 Mile Road, Ryan Road and 17 Mile Road, and Dodge Park Road and 15 Mile Road. The district nodes will be DeQuindra and 15 Mile, Ryan and 18 Mile, Ryan and 15 Mile, Shaner Road and 14 Mile, which is a new node, not previously within the map, Shaner Road and 15 Mile, and then Shaner Road and 19 Mile Road and Canal Road, which is now extending up past Canal Road onto the side, which is across from the Lakeside Overlay District. We are removing 3 nodes here. The first one and the most important one, in my opinion, is the 17 Mile Road and Utica node. This is largely undeveloped land, a lot of trees, a lot of wetlands, and we don't think that it's appropriate to incentivize it for development. So we want to remove this from the node so that if that land is left untouched, we're not providing any increased density there. We're not providing any incentive for removal of the vegetation there. Van Dyke and 17 Mile Road has been included into the Van Dyke Mixed Use District through a previous map amendment, so this will be cleaning that up. And Van Dyke Road and Utica Road has been implemented into the North Van Dyke Avenue zoning district, so this is cleaning that up. Here's a preview to what our presentation will be in a bit, but a bit of distinction for you for neighborhood and district nodes and how they have been identified. So these were actually categorized by yourselves and the Planning Commission at your joint meeting last August. Neighborhood nodes are the smaller intersections categorized by less traffic. These are local hubs largely surrounded by single-family neighborhoods, envisioned to support a horizontal mixed use, but an attractive mixture of uses. The important concept for both of these, which are outlined in the draft master land use plan, are the kind of merging of private property investments and public property investments. That way we can work collaboratively with our business owners to provide attractive destinations throughout the city. This includes things just as repairing building facades with lighting and colorful materials, enhancing landscaping and greenery along our sidewalks, which we're working through with our Elevate program, and then things like public property investments, improving street crossings, adding street trees, and adding pedestrian scaled lighting to allow for visibility on these corners. The district node are categorized by type of a larger development. This is more of a regional attraction with a high quality of large integrated uses. These are bound by roads that have a higher traffic volume, so you see them at busier intersections. And then they have generally categorized by retailers with a bit of a larger footprint than you see in a neighborhood node. So the updated ordinance will now allow a total of 71 uses, which will be permitted in the nodes as a permitted by right use or a special approval land use. This also includes multifamily consideration, which is not previously possible, but it will be reviewed by Planning Commission for either site plan approval or a special approval land use. It's an important distinction here to look at how the ordinance is written already and look at how it's written now. So The current ordinance, which is already adopted, allows for all C1, C2, and C3 uses to be a special approval land use in any node. We thought that was a bit much. We see a lot of these very high-intensity C3 uses that come into C1 zoning districts or right by residential. One notable case, 15 in Dodge Park, we received quite literally hundreds of petitions against that use. So what we have done, working with Mr. Petruzak, is come up with a list of impermissible uses. This is uses that are large potential nuisance-causing things for odor, sound, automobile traffic, and lights. Those can still be sought by an applicant through a use variance, but they are not included in this overlay as being here. But we did want to highlight some of the uses that we have opened up, because what we have done, rather than allowing all of the by right uses, is allowing by right and special approval land uses as special approval land uses, so that they have a level of review and the benefit of going through a public hearing. But things that you'll be able to do now in these corners are more office and clinic uses, different types of stores, childcare, which we've seen from a lot of people is very important to bring to our community, as there's a shortage of it in the area. Carry-out restaurants, pet grooming, and office use. In our C2 district, which would now be allowed in many of our nodes because they are largely zoned C1, would be garden supply stores, hardware stores, different types of supermarkets, of which one is already taking the place of a former Rite Aid at 15 in Dodge Park. So we're seeing the effects of this moving positively already. Gyms, pet stores, home and office stores, photo studios and galleries, different types of recreation uses, banquet and event spaces, eating and drinking establishments, and theaters. And then some of these C3 uses that will be pulled into there, which are eating and drinking establishments that allow for catering, something we see as being very popular and highly requested, as well as encouragement for outdoor seating. Hotels at a smaller capacity. If you do go taller, it's important to note that you will have to be reviewed by the Planning Commission, and you will have to include additional screening to make sure you're buffered from residential. Auto parts stores, recreation, which would include golf simulators, something we've seen very successful in the city over on Hayes. Different types of indoor recreation, which we get quite a lot of calls about for things like tennis courts, even pickleball and bowling and dance halls. We will note that one thing in here that has been a distinction from our comment time with some property owners is how to look at the massage use that's been discussed. We have made massage uses that are strictly massage only an impermissible use. This stems from a long history of working with the clerk's office on code enforcement. Uses that do massage and spa and treatment like that are still a permissible use. They will have to be licensed with the clerk accordingly from our regulatory ordinance. There's a lot of benefits that we think this is bringing that have been amended since you first saw this. Drive-through uses may continue to be a drive-through use. Fast food restaurants may continue to be a fast food restaurant, and gas stations may continue to be a gas station. This encourages redevelopment of sites that are desperately in need. It allows for franchises to make the appropriate modifications for their site to update them with their franchise model and remain in the same location. We optimize space with encouragement for setbacks to take up space and be flexible. Like we discussed a bit at the last meeting, we have our parking study going on. We're seeing through our parking study preliminarily now, we have plazas that are up to 400 to 500 spaces overparked. This allows for people to do outlot development without having to seek variances to make it possible to help the applicants maximize their land use. We encourage pedestrian amenities and increased landscaping as the city is working on its tree canopy and making these areas for gathering. But I will note that it's not more strict than our current ordinance. Under our enhanced landscape facility, or enhanced landscape, is it facility? Yes. We encourage these already. You need 2 of them for a new development, so this is triggered already through your site plan review process. This just encourages that the uses share them. That way that businesses can work together to create communal gathering places, plazas, pedestrian pass-throughs, and outdoor dining areas. As we mentioned before, and this was a discussion on the Van Dyke Overlay District, increased height and reduced setbacks will require increased screening. So we encourage people to plant large trees, berms, masonry walls, things that are high quality material that stop headlight glare, stop noise, and stop people from viewing commercial developments from their homes. And also, this is really the golden ticket that helps make all this possible, is administrative parking reduction based on comparable uses. So theoretically, you have a use on a site that requires 20 parking spaces, and that use goes out of business. And you come to us and you say, well, I have 50 spaces. I have a wonderful restaurant that wants to take this site, and it has 100 spaces required by ordinance. I don't need that. And I say, prove to us through comparable uses why you don't need that. And we'll work with Mr. Petruzak, Mr. Kashubski will draft a reduced parking agreement, and we can fit this use in here for you without having to take you to the Zoning Board of Appeals. So we are allowing the flexibility of exchanging these uses in and out without the need for additional variances, which helps really spur the redevelopment of these areas and help eat up that underutilized parking that we see kind of throughout your lines of sight. So we think it's a very positive ordinance. I think Mr. Petruzak did an absolutely wonderful job drafting this, and he is available for any questions. I encourage him to get up there and answer him if he's called upon. But otherwise, I think we've come a very long way from when this was first presented. I think this is the main thing that we've discussed here is flexibility in terms of everything that we have looked at for allowing these sites to flourish, in terms of uses, height, setbacks, and parking, but making sure that we push for additional screening and protection for residential uses while allowing the benefit of public hearings for uses that would be increasing in intensity so that neighbors could come out and speak their mind or opinion or provide feedback if given the opportunity. And with that, I yield my time back to the mayor, and thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Parcell. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item? Mr. Sable?
I appreciate the clarification from Dr. Purcell. Some of the issues that we've talked about, we've been able to work with the city attorney's office and Dr. Purcell, and our concern had to be whether or not we could put a massage envy within the facility, because we have those in all of our other commercial centers, and our reading of the ordinance as it originally was provided that an adult entertainment use, and we were concerned about the language. Obviously, we would prefer that be further clarification on the language, but we'll leave it from there. Secondly, our issue had to do with the auto zone that we have in our other facilities. It appears now that that's permissible use. That was a concern because it was restricted automobile-oriented uses, and that got addressed. One of the other issues that we had to do with relocation of drive-throughs. I think with the conversations that I've had with Dr. Parcell, that when we look at redoing the CBS site, that we would probably have to relocate that drive-through, and we'll be able to work it with the city. If we have an issue, we'll be back before the city at that time. Same thing, it has to do with parking. That the ordinance is how it's drafted. We had an issue with the fact that there were restrictions from parking in the front of the building versus having it at the side and the back. And I think we've come to a resolution. If we have an issue, we'll be before the city council at that time. Obviously, we still maintain our position that we would prefer not to be in the node. We don't think it really applies to us, but basically, as it sits right now, we'll work with the city and take it from there. Appreciate the time that's been spent. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sable. Thank you for your patience. I know you guys have been working closely with Dr. Parcell, and we appreciate that. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on this item? Yes, ma'am. I'll get you next. They're kind of like a package. Yeah, you guys are like a package deal, so why don't we hear from you two now?
Good evening, Council. I'm Jack Dolan. I was here previously, and I'll iterate what Mr. Sable said. It's been a pleasure continuing to work with some of your staff. They've been very gracious. We haven't always agreed, but they've been extremely professional in their discussions with us. Like anything, what we have is a lot of words on paper now. And it all comes down to the devil being in the details and the execution as time goes on. And these are some very substantial challenges that I think are being undertaken. I think it creates excitement on one hand, but as you can see, particularly for the property owners, a great deal of uncertainty. And in that regard, I think we're hopeful and we're positive but we'll see how things continue to unveil themselves. One of our great concerns, of course, had been the whole issue of drive-throughs. I happen myself to have a nephew who is handicapped. He's in a wheelchair, and he utilizes drive-throughs quite frequently when he goes out and obtains food, for example, from some restaurant. Likewise, I have a daughter who's unfortunately divorced. She works. She's got a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 5-year-old. And it's very convenient for her to be able to go to a restaurant that has a drive-through, come home and feed the kids without having to pile them all into the restaurant to go pick the food up and so on. So drive-throughs really do serve a purpose, and I don't think they necessarily conflict with having a pedestrian-oriented area. I think they can be compatible. I don't think that simply the drive-through in and of itself is the enemy, so to speak, from having a pedestrian-oriented area. And I hope you can keep that in mind. Between now and actually when you move to adopt it, if you'd like, you can actually, on Google, put in drive-through elimination and then put in either handicapped or put in elderly, and I think you'll see that there's a lot of interest in preserving these conveniences because they do serve a large part of the population. But with that being said, I've already talked too much. I'm sure Rick's given me the hook, and I'll turn it over to the lady who I jumped in front of.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dolan.
Leslie Hennigan. I live on Wilsett Court, and it said, I am glad, I'm just going to read off my notes. I'm glad that the Planning Commission has made some small changes to the proposed master plan to the property formerly known as the Wedge, and I hope this evening...
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah,
this is out of order.
so this is not, this has nothing to do with that property.
Oh.
So you're welcome to speak during communications from citizens
Or the master plan.
or during the master plan.
Oh, I
But
didn't
right-
know.
but this
I'll
is-
sit for the
This
master
is
plan.
about district and neighborhood nodes. There are specific areas
I'm
and
sorry.
specific corners. That's okay.
I need to be educated on
worries.
something.
You're fine.
I'll go sit back down.
That's okay.
See you later.
You did fine.
All right, anyone else on this item? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Radke.
gotta find it.
There are two items, so we'll take the first.
Yes. Resolved to introduce the ordinance amending Article 14B of zoning ordinance number 278 to create neighborhood and district nodes and establish permissible, special approval land and nonconforming uses within the newly created nodes.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion, Mr. Radke?
Yes, briefly, Mr. Mayor. You know, it's rare when postponing something so many times makes it come back in a more strong form. And I think that we've really ironed this out. Like, I feel even more confident about this ordinance now than when it was first introduced. I'm very excited about the ability to have the administration reduce parking as needed. I think there's a lot of good things in this ordinance, and I'm very excited to vote for it. I guess the one question I have is through the chair to Dr. Parcell. At a certain point, it talks about things that can give you bonuses or things that should be required in the district. And I was curious, I didn't see bike facilities as a required feature in the district, nor did I see it as something that would give you a bonus. And I think if we're adding pedestrian accessories, I think it should be required, but we should be incentivizing bike facilities, bike racks, because most plazas in the city do not have bike racks currently. So I didn't see that, but when it comes back, I think that would be a nice addition to this ordinance. But I'm happy to hear my colleagues' comments. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Radke. Mrs. Sarowski?
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. I'm going to be very brief. So I'm very happy, thank you again, Dr. Parcells, because it's been a little arduous to get this through, and I do appreciate the hard work, the patience of the residents and the business owners, and I do hope that we continue to, it looks as good, I hope it works out as good as it looks, because it looks fantastic. I will, however, also make a comment regarding what Mr. Dolan said. I had 3 kids under 3. when I was a young mom, and my husband was all over the place, and so I was home with them for most of the day. So the drive, although I do appreciate and I love walking and I'm a biker and all of that, there's a place for drive-through, and that is important to we have to consider that is a section of population that he mentioned that really does need that convenience. And I really would have been probably going crazy had I not had that ability to drive through and get them their, little McDonald's with a toy, of course. So it was helpful. And even going banking, I mean, it's hard to do now. You don't have a lot of drive-through banking, but I miss that state of the art here. But I'm very happy with this ordinance. I think that it's going to improve the city, improve our corners, and I'm going to vote yes on this when we're ready. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Anyone else? Mrs. Zarko.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. Through the chair to Dr. Purcell, we're talking about drive-throughs. They do have a purpose. Do we have a different definition of a drive-through that is pickup only, which means it's been ordered online, paid online, and you just pick up something at a drive-through? And the other type of drive-through where you order, you pay, and you pick up in person. Do we differentiate between the two?
So actually, in the late 20-teens, the Zoning Board of Appeals was asked to interpret the zoning ordinance, and they interpreted that any exterior window for any of the uses constitutes a drive-through. So there effectively is no difference as determined by the Zoning Board of Appeals in their interpretation of the ordinance. They had a public hearing on it. I will note that we do agree that while there are very few drive-throughs in the nodes overall, it was important to help these people who do have franchise ties to them find a way to make them work. So that's why we've amended the ordinance language so significantly to allow for them on the sites where they are already. It should be noted, there's very, very few parcels that are currently underlying zone to permit drive-throughs. A majority of them are C1s. There's very few C2s. And there are C3 uses that are zoned by uses that can now be replaced by the use that it is already developed as. So we took that into account to allow for them to be redeveloped, to allow that flexibility. But a majority of these C1 parcels do not allow drive-throughs in the underlying zoning, and we thought it was important to maintain that.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Zarko. Anyone else?
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Schmidt.
Just briefly, through the chair to Dr. Purcell, I'm wondering, we've had so many issues in the last couple of years at the 15-mile and Shaner intersection, why you would prefer a district node over a neighborhood node to keep that intersection a little more safe?
Yes. Thank you for the question. It was really just based on the public input from that public meeting, the joint meeting with the Planning Commission. So that's what we reflected in the master land use plan. The way that corner is developed with the larger amounts of parking and the high traffic volume roads, it does lend itself to be more of a district node. I will say that the discussion that we have, and I put it back up on the screen, is not really that the use intensity increases with this ordinance. It's how the district and the neighborhood node is how they're categorized by the underlying development. So you have larger box uses there. You had a former grocery store. You have the Planet Fitness now. Things like that lend itself to be categorized as the district node. And what we are looking at through the strategies we have here, in particular the public property investments, are looking at ways to improve street crossings, explore things for signaling and timing, adding in the landscaping, which we've discussed along the public right-of-way, helps kind of calm traffic naturally. And then working with the business owners to kind of better arrange their parking lots and their organizations to allow for effectiveness. So the district versus neighborhood is really just the classification of what we saw as the underlying uses. And I think with some of these public property investments in terms of, you see here even ways to look at landscaping medians or allowing ways to slow traffic, we think could be really beneficial to help out a intersection like that. So something we want to be able to implement and explore once we get our master plan adopted.
So a district node doesn't necessarily mean a more dense node than a neighborhood node?
No, the uses apply to both of them.
Okay.
It's the strategies we'll use to work on that calming and that facilitation of the redevelopment that differs based on the node.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. Council, anyone else? Well, I am in agreement. I think that this is a good compromise. I understand your concerns, Mr. Sable, Mr. Dolan, Mr. Epic. I hope that we've worked through them as best that we can and shown that we're going to be flexible where we can be. And I think in the end that we'll be able to find some good uses at that corner. Certainly, you know, my thoughts from the last meeting, but overall, I think that this is a product of a lot of collaboration between the city council, the planning commission, ZBA, but most importantly, our planning department. So thank you, Dr. Purcell. Our council, Nate Petruzak, did a fine job here. So thank you for that. So council, without any further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We do have a second action. Mr. Radke.
Resolved to introduce the ordinance amending the zoning map of zoning ordinance number 278 to delineate the parcels of property included in the newly created neighborhood and district nodes.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Council with no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on to the next item on our agenda tonight, which is an ordinance adoption. This is to consider adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 2, Section 2-19 of the City Code to conform the listing of administrative officers to the confirmed administrative code plan. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Zarko.
Resolved to adopt the ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 5, Sections 2 through 175 or 2-177 of the City Code to comply with the Michigan Earns Sick Time Act as amended by Public Act 2 of 2025.
No, we're on A, not.
Okay, where am I at?
You're on B.
We need a
Oh,
ordinance adoption, a.
what?
Go back.
Go back?
Just go back.
Withdraw your motion.
Nobody
Motion
supported it,
motion
so we're good.
fails for lack of
Yeah,
second.
so, oh, wrong one, sorry, I knew it was an adoption, sorry. You made me go through the whole thing, you couldn't have interrupted me.
Well, I was trying to get there myself.
I mean, I know I can read, but still.
I saw Koszybski's eyes, he's like, something doesn't sound right.
Resolved to adopt the ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 2, Sections 2-19 of the City Code to conform the listing of administrative officers to the confirmed administrative code and plan.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion?
I think this has been discussed.
It has been discussed. Council, anything else to add? No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is another ordinance adoption. This is to consider adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 5, Sections 2-175 and 2-177 of the City Code to comply with the Michigan Earned Sick Time Act as amended by Public Act 2 of 2025. Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this item? If not, council, we need a motion.
I can do this one, too.
Mrs. Zarko.
Resolved to adopt the ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 5, Sections 2-175 and 2-177 of the City Code to comply with the Michigan Earned Sick Time Act as amended by Public Act 2 of 2025.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion?
Thank you, Mayor Taylor, but the only discussion I would have, this is one of the most complicated changes that has come down from the state in years. And knowing that it can change tomorrow again is a lot of work, so stay tuned.
Okay, council, anyone else?
No, Mayor
With
Taylor.
no further discussion?
sorry.
Oh, Mrs. Sarowski.
Just really
Sorry.
briefly, to piggyback on what Mrs. Zarko says, we have to, in my job, we've really over-educated our staff, or highly educated our staff on this. A lot of people are very happy about it, but it is, as Mrs. Yarko said, it's so complicated. You have to change PTO for every single employee, not just full-time and part-time. But it will benefit those who have never had PTO if they've worked at part-time jobs or even contingent. So I'm very happy to see this, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Council, anyone else? No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the consent agenda. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on any item on tonight's consent agenda? Nothing back there? No? You guys sure? Okay.
Look familiar.
Council, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Koski.
move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported with no discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. First time they haven't had anything to say in a while.
It won't last.
It's early.
Yeah, it's not 10:30 at night yet, and I'm not half asleep. Welcome to my son and my other son and my dad in the back. Thank you for coming. Very, very sharply dressed young men today. Thank you. All right, moving on. Next item up tonight is a consideration item. This is to consider a request to transfer ownership of a 2024 Class C liquor license with Sunday sales permit, PM, outdoor service, one area, and entertainment permit from Uno Mound LLC to Rice's Mexican Cuisine LLC. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so you can come up and, yeah, do you want to come up and make any presentation? You won't have a time limit. You can talk if you want to, or you can just make yourself available for questions if the council has any.
Come pitch your restaurant. Come tell us about it.
That she can do.
It's a commercial for free.
I'm just impressed how those big lines went too fast, and I was thinking I have about 30 more minutes to wait for talk. I go like, oh, it's my turn already, okay. Well, we are very happy to be in the city of Sterling Heights. This is Maria Cristina Aldana. I've been in business since 2006, doing Mexican food. I started off in a gas station, and then now we kind of carry it to 3 locations that ended up to be 1 after COVID. But then we own Aldana Mexican Grill in 2021, that was open during pandemic, that we ended up selling in 2024. But then I'm very proud of and happy to have a great opportunity to open Raíces Mexican Cuisine and taking over Uno's location. And I'm here just to request a permit to be able to use the liquor license that we are very proud of. And feel ready to do it right, because I already been able to operate a restaurant with a liquor license, and I think I know how to do it. That's what I can say. So too bad they left, because I said now we have the good company, right? But then now they have us to catering for the company too, right? And for everybody else. And I'm very proud to been able to cook very authentic Mexican food, very tasty, to a different level that everybody's really used to get. So, yeah. So, oh, by the way, our name is Raíces, which means the roots. We are representing our decorations and everything overall in our business to how to represent the roots from Mexico, and from everything from the seasoning, plants, and art, music. We have a lot to share. But I really wanted you to hear more about the roots of people that are Mexican like me. And all my workers, most of my workers really are people that are with Mexican as well. And we come here to really plant seeds and come up and grow and really represent our culture, and grow as any plant, and representing with the Mexican food that comes to our plates. So our logo really represents, if you ever have an opportunity to check our logo, it comes with a plant and grows a leaf, right? And then it comes with the hands like this, and creating life, and really the circle of life where it creates a seed again, where it kind of goes continuously. So it really, nothing special. It is everything in life. But we just want to just kind of present it in the food, and creating memories, as everything has been remarkable. And every time I create a plate or recipe, it has to remind me something. And if it reminds me something, that means it's been done right. Because I'm a Mexican, and I came to United States when I was 18. So all those favorite palettes are still there. So yeah, that's all.
Okay,
So,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Located at the corner of Mound and
Mound.
Hall Road in Sterling
Exactly.
Heights. And what's your favorite dish there?
Oh, it's a hard question, but having our own seasoning, we actually cook very good meals, and every single one is very good. But the most I'm proud of, it's more authentic, is the mole. It's mole poblano. So really, when you taste it, it really tastes like it is, like everything else, actually. So
All right.
everything.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am.
Right.
If
Well,
we
thank
have
you.
any other questions, we'll let you know.
Okay.
But we'll see if there's anybody else in the audience who has any comments, and then if not, council will deliberate and I have a good feeling that you're gonna be successful tonight.
I did too.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is anyone else in the audience on this item? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Yanez.
Resolved that the request to transfer ownership of a 2024 Class C liquor license with Sunday sales permit PM, outdoor service one area, and entertainment permit from Uno Mound LLC to Raíces Mexican Cuisine LLC to be considered for approval.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Senor Yanez.
Senor, yeah. So it was great to hear your words. My grandparents came to this country from Mexico in the early 1900s. I can't tell you if they went through a border or how they got here, but they got here and they planted their seeds. My aunt, my dad's oldest sister, and her husband opened a restaurant in the 1920s. It was called the Texas Restaurant, and it was in business for 50 years. And between that restaurant and my grandmother and my Aunt Martha, I learned what Mexican food was all about, you know, watching them make tortillas and cooking everything. And so I sort of grew up in a Mexican restaurant, and I've been to your facility 3 times now, and the chicken mole is very good. But more importantly, because we're talking about the liquor license, I did watch the staff, and I watched how the staff operates, and the staff is incredibly professional, very good. It's a very clean restaurant. Service is quick. You got to push the churros. You got to push the churros, my goodness. If you're not familiar with churros, go to a restaurant, just order the churros. They even make a bowl out of churros and put ice cream in it. It's just, my God. So, so it is a very professionally run restaurant. She's obviously has a lot of experience running restaurants. The staff is great. I don't see any problem with the liquor license in this restaurant, Raíces, and I fully support it. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Yanez. Mr. Radke.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had the pleasure of eating at Raíces, and it was tremendous. You would never know that this location was formerly an Uno pizzeria. It's been totally redone, the inside, the outside. It looks tremendous. The food was excellent. The churros were good. They gave me some, I want to say, caramel to go with it, and it was delicious because I'm fat, and I just loved it. It was tremendous. It was delicious. They are the kind of business we want in our community. Reading the master plan, which we're going to get to next, we talk a lot about locally owned, independent businesses that really bring something to Sterling Heights, and I think this is a perfect example. We are blessed to have so many good restaurants in our city, from Arabian food to Polish food to now, this in Cape Pasta Taqueria and some other places. We have some tremendous Mexican food. And I thought it was wonderful. I think you're going to do a great job. You're going to make some money, and we appreciate you being in our community. So I have no problem with this. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mrs. Zarko.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. I too went to Raíces and actually had lunch there last week. And we actually introduced Maria to Eat Local Macomb because we told her that there were rave reviews about the restaurant on Eat Local Macomb and that we still had to, we had to come there and test it out. I didn't know at the time, though, until Maria gave me her card, that I had been to her other restaurant that was at 15 and Coolidge, Eldana's. And my daughter and I would actually make a special trip there for their food. It is so good. It is just so good. And I'm really glad that you decided to open up a restaurant in Sterling Heights. I think you're going to be very successful there. I can't say enough about it. The food is amazing. The reason why nobody goes for the churros is because they've eaten so much before that there's no room left after you've had all the other great food that's there. My question is through the chair to whoever wants to answer me. This liquor license has already been approved by the state, so it's just us saying, hey, nice to invite you to the neighborhood and welcome. And I know that, Maria, you're going to do really well there, and we're going to make sure that we come to visit you. So nothing further.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Zarko. Mrs. Schmidt.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. I love your story, and I love the roots and the seeds, and it's all about family. And again, tonight we had a different company started in a garage. You kind of started in a garage, and now you have a flourishing, beautiful restaurant. And I'm sure you're going to be very successful. I'm excited to come in and try it. And I'm going to tell all my friends, I'm actually on Eat Local Macomb, so I have seen the comments on there, and we're really excited to have you in the city. So best of luck.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. Mrs. Sarowski.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. So I have not been to your restaurant, but I am definitely going to go. My daughter-in-law is Mexican, and all the cooks where I work are Mexican, so we get some really good food, but I only get to eat that at lunch. So I'm really excited to come and be able to eat your food here. Mole is my favorite. Anything mole is great. So and it's hard to find a good recipe with those. So I'm really happy and excited, and congratulations in advance. And you're very welcome. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Mrs. Koski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also have not been to your restaurant, but I can assure you that after listening to all this, I definitely will be. And you do take out, right? For sure.
No drive-through, though.
So,
One for you.
Yes.
Paying attention. Sorry. The churros are so good because I also own a churreria. It's right on Coolidge and Maple, right next to Aldana. So you can come there and you're gonna see how we make the churros. We got a machine from Spain. So the dough is shoot to the fryer as it goes, and then we kind of prepare your churro in front of you. And then we have gelato, coffee, and stuff like that. We have Spain hot chocolate as well. So we actually got churros from my churreria to have them in the restaurant as well. So just a note, you know? Not that I want you to taste it, so. That's what it is.
How are you so scared? They fry them right in front of you.
Yeah,
And they come out hot.
Yeah.
And you put the sugar cinnamon on there, and then they make different ones, almost like a banana split kind of thing.
Harry's about to cry.
He's
gonna leave here and go get dinner.
Just go get churros.
I'm hungry already.
All right, good. I'll get you some churros one of these days. Well, thank you. I don't know.
Yeah, thank you. Anything?
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you, Maria. I haven't been to Rice's yet. I was there at the ribbon cutting, but I didn't have the opportunity to stay and eat. I did eat at Aldana a few years ago. And so if it's anything like that, it's going to be phenomenal. It's a great restaurant, and you're going to have to listen to me say this one more time, but our city manager wasn't there last time. I think, if nothing else, getting the Chicago-style pizza out of Sterling Heights. We have no use for that garbage. It's really terrible.
I'm not going to add anything to what I found there. How long it took me to clean.
Yeah, I can't imagine how much the build-out and the tenant improvements were there for such a terrible product. But, we suffered through it while we had Pizza Uno here, and we're really grateful for you investing in the city of Sterling Heights and bringing your restaurant, your culture, your story here, and we expect you to be very successful.
Well, I was
So,
already happy, so I'm happier today, feeling so welcome. Thank you very much.
awesome. All right. Well, council, with no further discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck, Maria.
Thank you. I'll see you there.
All right, next up tonight is a consideration item. This is to consider approval of a new master land use plan for the city of Sterling Heights with presentation from our city planner, Dr. Jake Parcell. Dr. Parcell.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor, member of council, Mr. Vanderpool, and Mr. Kaszubski. I am thrilled to be here this evening for consideration of our draft master land use plan for adoption. As many of you know, this has been a process ongoing for about 17 months. Significant community engagement that we'll be talking about, a lot of drafting, a lot of discussion with the public, with our planning commission, with city council, with city administration. An incredible process where we've learned so much about the community and really, I think, delivered a spectacular product that we are already starting to get initiatives underway for. So we are now here at the finish line. The Planning Commission held their required public hearing by state statute and adopted their master land use plan last week at their meeting. In my quick turnaround, which I thank the clerk's office for waiting for me to get our items in on base, we have it before you this evening. So I do want to just have a brief overview of what the plan has, discuss some of the initiatives that we're excited to and already getting underway, and then what our next steps are moving forward. So we'll cover all of that in this presentation between Ms. Boehm from Giffords Webster and I, who have done the drafting of the master land use plan, and then open it up for questions and comments at the end. So the master land use plan was a comprehensive rewrite from the 2017 plan. This includes a more broad introduction, history, and regional context. Also includes updated existing conditions in our area of study. We have new actionable goals and objectives where we can actually monitor our process as we go through the plan. And it focuses on these 6 key categories, which is housing, economy, environmental stewardship, transportation, placemaking, and our mixed-use development nodes. We have then updated our future land use map, which is what we will build our zoning amendment rewrite on, which we have budgeted for this year, and an implementation plan, which will be our first step following the conclusion of this. I will say at 375 pages, it looks long and it looks dense, but it's all in the name of transparency. So the latter half of the plan is actually all of the raw data from the surveys, the thousands of responses we gathered, the full public engagement summary, the written correspondence from everybody. The market study and all of our legal notices are included in the back of this document so that people can go through and skim and look at things and kind of see where the recommendations and data were pulled from, and then be able to see how we relayed that into our recommendations in the plan. And now to go over the goals and objectives, I'd like to pass it over to Ms. Boehm.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As was mentioned, we are thrilled to be here at what we consider to be the finish line after working with the Planning Commission, with City Council for the last 17 months, and with staff certainly, and the community. I think one of the things to note as you were looking through the plan, based on the organization of it, is that while we do provide all of that data, all of those results, and all of the comments there in the document, we try to keep the beginning part of it pretty easy to read by putting the things at the beginning that we think people would find the most useful and helpful and important to them. Part of that is trying to weave threads through the master plan document so that we understand kind of why we got to the recommendations that we got. And one of those strategies was to reflect the 2040 visioning of City Council into the goals and objectives of the master plan. So we have your icons here with those 8 topic areas. And when we go into the goals and objectives for each of the elements that we've used, you'll see those icons reflected there. So for example, in our housing goal, promoting a diverse and sustainable housing market that supports existing single-family neighborhoods, affordable housing options, and age-in-place opportunities. As our goal, one of those strategies is to preserve existing neighborhoods. And so you'll see there's 3 icons there that cross-reference back to the 2040 visioning, which are neighborhoods, connective, and distinctive areas. So trying to go through there and connect those dots so that people can understand how those all go together. I won't read through each one of these, but there are 5 goals: housing, the local economy, environmental stewardship, transportation, and placemaking. And as I think that you'll see, one of the interesting things about all of these goals, and I hope people feel this as they read through the document, is that we hope that we illustrated the ways in which these are all tied together, right? So we can't just think about, oh, we're just going to talk about housing, or we're just going to talk about economic development. We need to think about those things within the context of all of the other things. This has been a lovely meeting so far with you this evening, hearing from your businesses that have been here for a really long time, hearing from new businesses. I think, that you've all kind of mentioned a lot of those things about, how do we get there? How do we grow businesses? How do we create this unique community and build that kind of reputation as being welcoming? And those are all elements that are included in this master plan document. So I wanted to kind of highlight that and also tell you how enjoyable it's been sitting here listening to some of the feedback. We have in the back of the goals and objectives at the end of this section, measures of success. So as we go through a plan, the next 5-year review period, you may ask, well, how have we done? And if we don't include some of those measures of success, it may be, well, we think we're doing pretty well. We usually do think we're doing pretty well. We left these blank for now. This is something that we felt would be a really good next step, a good implementation strategy for a planning commission, for staff to work on together. We provided a whole list of measures to get started. Some of those may be good measures to, yes, we can get those. Some may be harder to find. And some we may feel like, yeah, we don't know that that's really a good measure of what we're trying to do here. Some of those may be things that we can find readily with data, like census data. Some of those may be, well, we need to figure out how we're going to measure that. Maybe we need to create a survey, or maybe we need to tap into some other opportunity to gauge that. So that'll be one of the next steps.
Thank you. So as we mentioned, the beginning of this plan focuses on readability for the general public and accessibility of data. And we really focused on making the entire process comprehensive and inclusive for the community, all the way down from our elementary school students through every member of the population. So to briefly cover some of the community engagement we did, as you'll see our roadmap here, it spanned the better part of 2024. We had 4 modules, including your joint meeting, which were kind of educational presentation-based modules. I know Ms. Boehm and Mr. Amott in particular really could tell how great SHTV does at broadcasting these, because you can see how many people like the Mentimeter at the bottom of the corner. And when the likes and responses started to exceed the number of people in the room, we realized that people were participating from their homes, watching it on television. So that was very exciting for us. We worked with our other boards and commissions. The African American Coalition, the Youth Advisory Board had meetings with us and did meeting toolkits. We did an elementary school art contest, and we also had events and activity that our interns last summer did at every open house to encourage families to come if they had to bring children and couldn't get a babysitter. We had workshops that were open where they could communicate with staff, elected officials, planning commissioners, and our consultants, focusing on future land use and sustainability. We did 3 surveys throughout the summer, totaling over 4,500 responses. We did meeting toolkits, of which 3 were returned from local community groups. And then throughout the summer, we continually provided not just encouragement for people to come in and take the surveys, but updates on what we were doing through our outreach. So we put QR codes in the water billing. We sent out communication to every single business owner via email that the city clerk's office provided me. And not only did I say, just take the survey, please, we need you. It was like, here's what we have done so far. Here's where you can come see us. Here's what we would like from you next, to make sure that this is a very inclusive process and make sure that it's a process that we intended to reach every member of the community. We also had 2 translators at every single one of our meetings so that people who were not English as a first language speaker or who were potentially uncomfortable speaking in public had somebody there to assist them in communication and participation. So it was a very wide-ranging effort and an effort that we were very proud of that quite literally pulled in probably about 6,000 responses from individuals in the community. So we're very, very proud of this part, which helped relay the kind of rest of the recommendations in the plan.
And then when we get to the future land use categories and the future land use map, it's important to note that one of the goals of the process itself was to kind of simplify this future land use map to the extent that that was possible. To consolidate some of the designations for land use, to be a little bit more descriptive in the text, to describe what we're going to be working towards. And one thing that I always like to call out and note here, and we could maybe say it again when we get to the zoning plan, maybe I'll do that. So to just go back for a second, for residential, changing the names to make them a little bit more descriptive of what their forms are. So estate residential becomes large lot residential, and suburban residential there as well. Urban residential in the former master plan becomes suburban residential. It is a suburban area. It's predominantly single-family residential. And then coming up with a new category called compact residential. This is intended to be a mixed residential area in areas that support walkability and some of the other strategies that we've outlined. Medical office and office just combine into office. The traditional mixed-use development, again, we don't need to go into those too much more because we've already kind of talked about those tonight. The neighborhood node and the district node, and of course the North Van Dyke node. And then the traditional land use, transitional land use, was deleted. And so you'll see these are northwest and northeast and the southwest and the southeast excerpts, because the map is really quite large to fit on one slide. But you'll see that the colors are not overly, we didn't simplify everything, so it's not just, 5 colors, but we definitely scaled back some of the colors. And I think that really helps people get a better handle on what the vision is for the future. When we go, is this still me?
You can talk about it, or I can.
All right, well, I was going to talk about the difference between the future land use map and the zoning map.
You can start and I'll finish.
All right, I'll do that. So when we are in our master plans, every master plan is required to have a zoning plan. And the zoning plan is the way that we say how we take what we've envisioned in our future land use map, the text and the colors of the map, and what that means, how we align it with our zoning ordinance. And so while the future land use map made some changes, those are intended to be policy guides and guides for making land use decisions, but those don't currently change the use of anyone's property. The zoning ordinance and the zoning map is how we regulate the use of land. So the zoning plan then is required to be able to say from these future land use categories, this is how we would align our zoning ordinance. And so in some cases, we might direct that there would be changes made, and I'll let you talk about that.
Thank you. So during the budget discussion, it was in the budget to begin the process of rewriting our zoning ordinance. So we've had a lot of discussion as this process has gone on, as I presented to council, in terms of what housing allowances we will have, what different types of recommendations we can make to make housing in Sterling Heights attainable. And I think it's very, very important to note, this does not allow for any of those uses to exist right now. All of those uses will be codified through the zoning ordinance. Is it possible for every lot in the city to have a duplex on it? No, it's not. Those will be held to strong zoning standards that we will be reviewing and adopting, that we'll be very carefully including city council on as we move forward with our zoning amendment. So when you look at the different types of residences that are discussed, something that has been brought up by council that we've taken into big consideration is looking at ideas like pattern book housing, working with MML and finding different types and styles of housing that we can develop. And while those are a big consideration of what we look at in this plan, as well as mixed use, there's going to be very stringent zoning standards applied to those that will take place during the zoning ordinance rewrite. So right now, none of the uses are changing. All of those will be reviewed very heavily and very thoroughly to ensure that where they are going to be located are right for the neighborhood lots that they're being placed on, and that they will not just proliferate throughout the city. So there will be a lot of teeth included to a zoning ordinance moving forward. This is just a recommendation of how we set the map forward for doing our zoning ordinance rewrite, which is a very important distinction, because I know seeing them next to each other can be a bit confusing, but this is just a policy direction that we will then codify as we move forward with our next process.
Do you want me to keep going through those?
I think so.
Kind of did that. Yeah. The next thing we get into are the implementation action items. So again, what do we do now that we have the plan? What are our next steps? So those are included in the implementation chapter. They're broken out into the zoning action items, primarily led by the Planning Commission with support of City Council, capital improvement action items, advocacy action items, which are things that we might be partnering with other agencies or organizations. We might be doing educational elements, but these are intentionally left, the priority column left empty as your next, your first step in implementation of the master plan to help guide that, is to working through those things together and identifying which items you feel are the highest priority. And that is something that you can then modify from year to year based on needs and available resources.
So after our 63-day public comment period, we had 2 comments directly related to property. We did have comment from Shelby Township. We had comment from Oakland County and some from residents in support of the plan. We also, I should note at this point, we did have the plan reviewed by our MEDC RRC planner, who spoke very favorably of not only the plan, but the housing, the depth of the housing kind of assessment, including the data we have, and also very strongly in support of our economic development policies outlined in terms of how they work with local businesses all the way up to our very large industrial users. But two public comments we had relating to properties, which I will kind of colloquially call this one the wedge property at the corner of Hall Road and Sterrett Street, was that we had 5 comments relating to it, asking that it not be moved as regional commercial in the updated master land use plan. The Planning Commission, at the recommendation of staff and a great idea by Commissioner Inks, split this parcel now into residential and office to match the underlying zoning. So you'll see here from regional commercial, it has been moved to office along Hall Road to match the land uses there, and then planned residential on the south. Planned residential is a really unique designation here because the master plan strategy specifically calls for moving things around on that lot to preserve open space. This lot is largely treed, so we would like to consider extending our buffers to the people who live on the street to the south. We'd like to preserve as much tree coverage here as possible. And at the request of the citizens, we think we found a really wonderful compromise here. And I could probably go to Mr. Bauer after the meeting and say, thank you for your insight in that email. And I think we found a really great example here of how we could work together with the public. The second one was the property here at the northwest corner of Shannon Road and Canal Road. This is the one that you just discussed at the map amendment for the nodes. Planning Commission agreed unanimously throughout the process of adopting this plan and with the text and ordinance amendment that this is well suited to be in a district node, which council just concurred with in their introduction of that ordinance. So no changes were made there. And then finally, at the conclusion, before I pass it over for any concluding remarks to Ms. Boehm, tonight is the City Council consideration of adoption. This is our last step, and then we get started with implementation. We have been working, setting up the framework for our implementation already. So one thing we've already done is started to move forward with reforming our ordinances on the nodes to make them more functional. Something that I'm really excited about is the line item, which I asked to be included, about preserving our single-family neighborhoods. I'm setting up a project right now in the Office of Planning to work on more of a neighborhood planning effort to kind of catalog and categorize the amenities and the walkway linkages and the public parks within our neighborhoods, and then bringing it to our residents to help coming up with different types of branding and placemaking to kind of showcase our single-family neighborhoods as we move forward. And I think that's going to be a really exciting process to get started with as soon as we move forward on this. And then Planning Commission is already in our next agenda under new business, going to see some of the implementation tasks here and assessing them. So really excited to move this forward. We have all of the planners working on multiple aspects already, planning out implementation. Our 2 interns as well, they don't know it yet, but one's watching right now, and he'll learn tomorrow when he gets to meet us all that he has some tasks to do already. But this, you know, I spoke at the end of the Planning Commission meeting about this. This was a community effort. A huge amount of people stepped up to the plate to come and work on this. We're, incredibly happy to have the resources provided to us by City Council and City Administration to do this. I think we left no stone unturned when it came to getting a hold of people in the community to participate in this and to tie it back to Visioning 2040, which is something the administration worked very hard on, and yourselves as well, to make these land use recommendations to support our existing neighborhoods, bring in new residents who want to find a place here in Sterling Heights, new businesses who want to find a place here in Sterling Heights. We're laying the groundwork to move forward with some really meaningful action, and I've been very thankful to work on it. So if Ms. Boehm, you have anything else, I will yield to council.
I think I would just echo all of those comments that you just made, and I would just thank you for the opportunity to work with you. Our team has thoroughly enjoyed working with your staff, working with you, working with the Planning Commission. As I shared with the Planning Commissioners last week, I really valued the way they discuss, where there's a variety of thought. It's shared, it's cordial, it's civil, it's a very well-functioning, very highly functioning Planning Commission, and that was a really great experience with them. This is a vibrant community, and it's just been an honor for us to be part of this planning process with you. So thank you very much, and we're happy to answer any other questions that you have as well.
I do have one more note, I'm sorry. After the adoption of the master land use plan, so since I started, I have been working to get ourselves designated as a redevelopment-ready community through the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, and this is the last step. So since November of '22, we have completed 16 other items on our task list, leading anywhere from training manuals to our board and commission members through public participation, engagement plans, and then it all culminates with the master land use plan. So we did receive technical assistance from MEDC and a grant from MISTA that offset $90,000 of the cost of this plan. So we were really fortunate to receive that. It allowed me to, when Ms. Bain presented me my a la carte menu for public participation techniques, to email her back and say, I want all of them. We're excited. I think that'll be a really wonderful experience. And to my knowledge, they still do ribbon cuttings for that. So we'll have to get some scissors out. But thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you very much, both, for your presentations tonight. So at this point, I'll go to the audience. Ma'am, would you like to speak now? Yeah, of course, of course. Listen, we appreciate the people who are here every meeting and speak at every meeting. But we certainly, and they know the rules because they're here every meeting. But we certainly appreciate when new folks come, and it can be intimidating, so we didn't mean to cut you off, but just want to make sure
I'm
you
glad you did,
were there at the right time. So now is the time.
Thank you. Leslie Hennigan, I live on Wilsack Court, and I'm glad that the Planning Commission has made some small changes to the proposed master plan to the property formerly known as the Wedge, and I hope this evening that the City Council will adopt those changes. Jim Bauer, who could not be here tonight, has been a leader for us in our small neighborhood.
He's here.
Is he here? Oh, I didn't know he was here. He has been a leader for us in our small neighborhood, working with Dr. Parcell, the members of the Planning Commission, and City Council members to understand the issues facing our small neighborhood. After all, we're generally here to the aftermath of the expansion of Hall Road, which changed everything in regard to the leftover properties and the single-family homes that are now affected. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else on this item? Mr. Bauer?
You're being called up.
Jim Bauer, Wilsack Court. First, I'd like to thank Dr. Parcell. I originally was thinking about asking for that just to be residential, but I thought that might be asking more than I should. But I hope someone's keeping tick marks for my remarks up here, because I know I have a couple that are good. They're not always good, but there's a few. Hope we can add this one to that list, but I appreciate it. I think that's a good decision, since we're bordered by the Clinton River, M53, and Hall Road, and there's about 660 acres of all residential there of some type. So I think that makes perfect sense to put a planned residential in there. Thanks.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Sarowski.
Resolved to approve the new master use plan for the city of Sterling Heights. Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion, Mrs. Sarowski?
I'm going to be very brief, so yes, thank you, Mayor. I do want to thank both Jill Bain, Dr. Parcells, and your team. Jill, I'm sure you have part of your team working with us too, but on all the hard work that this took, it's a lot. I mean, it's a master land use plan, so it's huge, and it is something that we will follow, and I think it has been done very well. I am also very happy that the community was so involved. That is something that is extremely important to the residents, very important to me, but we need to really, as much as we can, we've got social media, we've got TV going all the time. We're inundated with information as people, but this gave them an opportunity to see it in action, see what it could be, play with the little houses and just really get involved. And I'm so glad that we did it so many times. One time is never enough, because you're only going to get a few people at each one. But the more people that were involved make this their city, and I really think that that's a very important thing. So I do, I'm just happy. I'm very glad that we delineated one of the goals as environmental stewardship, because I know that is a big concern of many people here, one of myself as well. And I think that we can do better as a council, and I'm happy to see that this is part of our plan. So that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Radke.
I think that, to start off, I think this is a wonderful plan, and I appreciate, because I attended many of the sessions, all of the residents who got involved. I have some questions about this plan, though. And I guess my number one question is why, looking at the future land use map as approved by the Planning Commission, why is the compact zoning district so concentrated in the south end? And why wasn't it extended in some areas that I thought it would make more sense? Like, for example, all of the property to the east of Mound Road in the Merrill Road corridor, those are straight streets with differing lot sizes that I think would really make for a proper compact residential area, because they all basically spill out into a local commercial area. So I don't understand why that was excluded. The same thing for the Riverland area around the Van Dyke mixed-use corridor. There are several streets, Dawn Drive is one of them, that I think compact residential would make a lot of sense if the goal is to create mixed-use zones with a walk shed. So I guess through the chair to Dr. Parcell, is that the goal of the compact, to create a walk shed for our mixed-use zones?
That's what it originated as, yes. So it is kind of built around an area surrounding the nodes. Realistically, that's how we focused it, because that's what those ordinances are intended to do. I will say, through public comment and experience with the residents located, sorry, I have to figure out how to get the pointer on here. Right here and somewhat over here, but right here in particular, that's what they wanted. That was what the resident sentiment was in that area. We respect that. We've worked on quite a few projects on that area, and we believe that's what ended up being right for them. It's a lot of built up of multifamily right here. C4 zoning and the forum at gateways and the underlying zoning here does allow multifamily by right. So we believed in discussion that this is appropriate for what we have here. Up in here as well, it's something we could definitely explore, but the idea is that the NVDA is kind of living on its own. It has its own zoning district. It has its own sub-area plan, largely untouched here. There is some multifamily here on Riverland Drive, but as we see this, and there is the low small unit housing over here, there is the idea that that district will take on its own identity as kind of the walkable uptown. As we see in 5 years, if this develops as we think it's going to develop, then it may make sense re-engaging those residents and seeing if that makes sense around it. But right now, I think the NVDA is standing on its own. In particular, you mentioned here, but in this area, it is cut off by the river as well, right, and then industrial. So I think our best course of option right here is staying on that plan and following the NVDA sub-area plan, and then moving forward as we see that in the future.
I just think the goals here are so limited, and I think that we're limiting ourselves now when we should go a little bit further. Compact residential does not eliminate single-family zoning. It's still single-family zoning, just allows duplexes and some other residential features as either right or special approval land use. And if our goal is to create walkable walk sheds around our mixed-use zones, I'm not sure why we're not doing that. And I get frustrated when the Office of Planning continues to tell me, well, in 5 years, we'll redo this. Well, I've been here for 8 years. And that's what they told me 8 years ago when we played this game last time. So I find it to be very frustrating. If we're going to fix things, let's fix them now. And I think that compact residential should be in more areas than just the southern end, because I think that may give people the idea that compact residential is for what we would call the lower class areas. And I find that to be somewhat offensive too. And I get frustrated that I feel like certain areas of the city are being segmented out, because if you're going to create a mixed-use district on Van Dyke, then the adjoining property there would best be compact residential because it's in the walk shed. I see the same thing on Merrill Road. I see the same thing in other areas of the city. For example, my father's neighborhood, south of west of Dodge Park and south of 15 Mile Road, that's not compact residential, even though it borders the plaza where you can walk right to it. That is mixed-use node, but across the street it is. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I think we need to be very clear in how we're doing this, because at the end of the day, our goal is not to change the housing pattern in the city. It's to add a little bit more density through pattern book style homes that look exactly like the homes around them. I grew up in a home like that in Detroit, and I didn't think it harmed our neighborhood at all. Frankly, most of the homes in my block were like that. And I think that we can do this a little bit more constructively than essentially taking a poll or putting our finger in the air and deciding that the people don't want this. I also have some concerns about the idea that only in compact residential are we going to allow triplexes or quads or other forms of new development. Because it seems to me that compact residential is going to go into areas that often have some of the smallest parcels in the city. Wouldn't it make more sense to put these things in areas that have larger parcels that give you more room for those cottage courts or other ideas that are the missing middle that we are hunting in this plan? I mean, I read every chapter of this. We talk about missing middle a lot, but I don't think we're giving ourselves the opportunity to find that missing middle by limiting ourselves so directly. I think this is a great start, but I think we're still missing something here. I also wanted to briefly talk about the Mound Road Innovation District. Because when it was formed, it's a mixed-use district, but in the descriptions here, it's not listed as a mixed-use district. I guess through the chair to Dr. Parcell, did we change the description of the district, or is it still a mixed-use district?
I don't believe we changed it too significantly. One second, let me get the right verbiage. It would be over there, maybe. So in my view of this is really that then the way the ordinance is tailored is allowing uses that enhance our industrial corridor. Could be argued that we've seen some workforce housing development there, but until we see the fruition rise for that, I think that the best support is opening up the uses that we allow in our office research and along Mound Road there that do actually support that corridor. We've seen very little movement on that district since that ordinance was adopted. I think it's more important to focus on the uses that are kind of outlined in that way, rather than looking at putting mixed-use development there on every.
Well, I don't dispute that, but the ordinance allows for mixed use now. This was a thing that Nathan Inks and I discovered when we were comparing. On one side, the master land use plan, it doesn't or it does, and then the ordinance does or doesn't. All I'm asking is for them to be codified so that they match.
Okay.
Because one side says one thing, the other side says the other. And we discovered this when we were going through these, because I know when we talk about it, it's a mixed-use district. But one part says it is, and the other part says it's not, or it's left out. So let's just codify what it is so that it's clear. I'm going to support this. I think that this is a great effort. It doesn't make much sense to send it back to the Planning Commission for these little tweaks. But I think that we should be more ambitious, and I think that we are, for some reason, choosing not to be. I don't understand that. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Radke. Council, anyone else?
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Schmidt?
Just briefly, I would like to thank administration, the planning commission, all the residents that really had input into this. Back to my earlier statement of it takes a village, this document really, the village was invited to be part of. And if you didn't participate, it was your own doing because everyone was invited to this. And I appreciate that administration respected some of the wishes of the residents. You know, there are changes to it and there are some advances made in it. And, you know, to think outside of the box, especially like on the Wedge property, to come up with a solution. You know, a lot of times we're accused of not listening to residents or not caring about what residents feel. This is one opportunity for us to say, you know what, we heard you and we were willing to work with you. So I appreciate everyone that had something to do with this document because it's a lot of work and a lot of time. And certainly it wasn't done by one person. It was done by many, many people. So thank you very much. And I'm in full support.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. Anyone else? Mrs. Koski?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair to Dr. Purcell. This is really an amazing document. I really enjoyed it. I finished it about midnight last night. So I was wondering if maybe we could get 375 pages of hard copy so we can read it piece by piece. Seriously.
Yeah.
It's a great document. I enjoyed the goals and objectives. There's some great ideas there that I would like us to pursue. Especially as far as the Sustainability Committee wanting to have us purchase green areas, to talk about the wetlands, talk about how we should preserve them and what effect that has on our future growth. And I think it's information that we need to talk about and share and really pay attention to. The part that I really liked was the question and answer where we went out to the residents and we said, why would you want to sell your house and move out of Sterling Heights? The answers are the same as what they were 35 years ago. We want a larger home. If I can't find it here, I'm going to go where I can find it. I want a larger lot. I want more space. I want trees. I want green space. It's things that we've always wanted, and that's never going to change. That's what makes Sterling Heights, Sterling Heights. This is why I'm saying that we need to pay attention to what we do here. We need to do this with the thoughts of what do our residents want. I like the idea that you have communicated with them. I like the idea that you have taken their views and implemented them in the master land use update. So my comment is, it's not what we want, it's what the people want. This is their city. They're the ones that are going to tell us what they like and what they don't like. And I think we should pay attention to that. So, good job. We have work to do. And I'd sure like a hard copy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Koski. Any, Mrs. Zarko?
I just briefly, I'm pleased with the document. I'm grateful that it coming back to us after I went to the Planning Commission. And I'm not going to mention everybody's name that had a part in this because I know I'll forget somebody, but most importantly, the residents that took their time, whether it came, they came to the meetings, even tonight making comments when we're ready to, to adopt this. So thank you all because it does make a difference.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Zarko. Anyone else? If not, thank you to our planning department, Ms. Bennett. Thank you to everyone who participated from the city. With no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda tonight, which is to consider nominations to boards and commissions. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on any of the board or commission appointments scheduled for tonight? Not, okay. We'll just take these one by one. So the first is the Planning Commission. There's one opening. There's 2 members seeking reappointment, and I would like to take this. We'll take the 2 members seeking reappointment. I would ask a member of council to make the nomination of Gerald Rowe and Pam Sarau for the Planning Commission.
Okay, Mayor Taylor.
Mrs. Sarowski.
Move to, there we go, resolve to nominate Gerald Rowe and Pampreet Sarau for consideration as an appointee to the Planning Commission at the June 3rd, 2025 regular city council meeting.
Support. It's been moved and supported. Any discussion?
No, I know them both. They're very good at what they do, and I'm glad to nominate them to be back on the board.
Okay, council, anyone else? No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I would like to postpone the open seat. There are 2 candidates that I still need to talk with, and I have a tough decision to make. But I would ask that be adjourned to, or postponed to the, is it June 3rd?
Yeah.
So I'd entertain a motion to postpone the open seat on the Planning Commission to the June 3rd, 2025 City Council meeting.
So moved.
Support. It's moved and supported with no discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. Next up is the Board of Ordinance Appeals 1. This is a board that has 4 members seeking reappointment, all to terms ending June 30th, 2028. This is a council appointment. Is there a member that'd like to make one or multiple motions here?
A question, Mr. Mayor?
I think it's 3.
Do we need to separate?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. The first is an alternate. So we can take them 1 and 3, or however the council's pleasure. So is there anyone who'd like to make a nomination here?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mayor Taylor.
Mrs. Schmidt.
Resolved to nominate James Mandel and Kathleen Martin for the consideration as an appointee to the Board of Ordinance Appeals 1 at the June 3rd, 2025 regular city council meeting.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? No discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have one more full member of the ordinance, Board of Ordinance Appeals 1. Is there anyone who'd like to make a nomination there?
Hold on. We'll do phone.
I think you only mentioned James Mandel and
I'm
Kathleen
sorry, I
Martin.
thought you said two.
So, yes.
You said two.
He actually said.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, Mr.
Just do
Radke.
it again.
resolved to
Thank
nominate
you.
Michael Stickney for
Yeah.
consideration as an appointee to the Board of Ordinance Appeals 1 at the June 3rd, 2025 regular city council meeting.
Support.
Been moved and supported. No discussion. All
Sorry
in
about
favor,
that.
say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Yeah, I don't remember what I said, to be honest. I know I screwed it up originally, so.
Yes, you did.
I mean, it's my fault, but.
It was off.
Okay, so next up, we have the Board of Ordinance Appeals 1 alternate position. Is there anyone who'd like to make a nomination there?
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Sarowski.
Resolved to nominate Justin Smith for consideration as an appointee to the Board of Ordinance Appeals 1 at the June 3rd, 2025 regular city council meetings.
Support.
It's been moved and supported.
Did I say something wrong?
No.
Okay.
I think we forgot to say, well,
Alternate?
you read it as it was
Yeah,
as
as an
written.
alternate.
She read it as it was written, Mark.
I did, Mark.
For the alternate.
But it is, to be clear, for the alternate position. Council, any further discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Oh, man.
Somebody's getting hangry.
Not as bad as when it was on Zoom. All right, next up is the Board of Ordinance Appeals 2. This is a council appointment. There are two positions, members seeking reappointment to terms ending June 30th, 2028. Is there anyone who'd like to make these nominations?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Radke.
resolved to nominate Ben Ancona and Michael Bargowski for consideration as appointees to the Board of Ordinance Appeals 2 at the June 3rd, 2025 regular city council meeting.
Support. It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the Board of Review. This is a board with 3 council appointments tonight. 2 members are seeking reappointment to terms ending June 30th, 2028, and 1 member is absent, or I should say is open. 1 seat is open. So we can take these 2 and 1 if anybody has nominations they'd like to make.
Mayor Taylor.
Mrs. Schmidt.
Resolved to nominate Kimberly Legarsky, Allison Magny, and Joseph Bedford for consideration as an appointee to the Board of Review at the June 3rd, 2025 regular city council meeting.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Mr. Kostrubski, do we need to clarify who's going to the term ending June 30th, 2027?
Yes, we would need to.
All right, Mrs. Schmidt, can you clarify, do you want to appoint Mr. Bedford to the
yes.
term ending June 30th? All right, so let the record reflect that Kimberly Legarsky and Allison Magny would be to terms ending June 30th, 2028. Mr. Bedford would be to a term ending June 30th, 2027. Is there any discussion? With no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next up is the Pension Board General Employees. This is a council appointment to a term ending June 30th, 2028. This is a one-step process, and there is a member seeking reappointment. Council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Zarco.
Resolved to nominate John Lamorato for consideration as an appointee to the Pension Board General Employees at the June 3rd, 2025 regular city council meeting.
Support.
Been moved and supported with no discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next up is the Zoning Board of Appeals. This is again a two-step process. There are 3 members seeking reappointment. This is a council appointment, all to terms ending June 30th, 2028. Council, is there anyone that would like to make one or multiple nominations?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Radke.
resolved to nominate John Fenn, David Grafe, and Stephanie Jackson for consideration as appointees to the Zoning Board of Appeals at the June 3rd, 2025 regular city council meeting.
Support.
been moved and supported. Is there any discussion?
Briefly, Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Radke.
I just wanted to say that these are three of the most active members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I think they are doing a great job. They really do analyze every case as it comes to them. They attend almost every meeting, and I'm very impressed by all of them. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Radke. Council, anyone else? No further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up on our agenda tonight and last on our agenda is to consider appointments to the Advisory Executive Committee for the Arsenal Alliance Defense Initiative. Anyone in the audience like to speak on this item? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Radke.
Resolved to appoint Luke Bonner and Haley Bradley to the Advisory Executive Committee for the Arsenal Alliance Defense Initiative.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion, Mr. Radke?
Briefly, I think that they both run our economic development strategy in Sterling Heights, and they are the best positioned to make this a success.
Okay, I agree. Council, anyone else? For those of you that are not entirely familiar, this Arsenal Alliance is the alliance that was recently formalized about a month ago between the city of Sterling Heights and the city of Warren to commit funding from both cities in order to support the Department of, not the Department of Defense, but to support defense contractors in the city of Sterling Heights and Warren to retain and attract new talent, new businesses, to help businesses. It is an economic development tool to really put a lot of energy and focus on that sector, which we are already doing a tremendous job at. Macomb is the self-proclaimed defense capital of Michigan and the Midwest by our county executive, Mark Hackle, and Sterling Heights and Warren are the two engines driving that defense sector in Macomb County. So we're excited to see where this would go, and certainly Ms. Bradley and Mr. Bonner would be great additions to this board to make sure that this Arsenal Alliance is laser focused on continuing to make sure that we're bringing jobs to Sterling Heights to support the defense industry. So, council, without any further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. All right, we'll move on to communications from citizens. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on any item not on tonight's agenda?
I'm Carol Chi, and I live in Moravian in Sterling Heights, 35325 Moravian. And I'm here to, first of all, thank you for your service here. It was very interesting. I'm so glad that our taxes are lower because of the gentleman that were here earlier, that company. I said, oh, that's wonderful. That's great why our taxes are low, one of the reasons. I'm here to say, please save the Chinkapin oak tree. It's interesting that your Memorial Day theme is honoring our past, and that is a really huge, long-lived part of our past. We call this Tree City. Well, it's not really Tree City if you're not saving old trees, and planting 20 or 200 baby trees after you cut this one down is not the same. I appreciate that people want to have low-income housing, but that is not the place to put it, and they're going to dig up the wetlands, cut and fill to fill the front, and what are they going to do at the back where the wetlands are, where the floodplain is? It reminds me of what happened at 15. I live on Moravian, just north of 15. And at that corner, the city failed to realize that there was a small area, well, actually probably the whole area was wetlands right there. And there was actually a depression where there was a vernal pond. There was a hill also, and there were a bunch of trees, and there was a huge tree at one end, but everything was completely leveled. And when they could have kept that as a focal point of the condominiums that are there now, and they could do the same, maybe they could do the same with this, I don't know. If they have to build 50 feet away from this tree so that tree keeps on growing, stays there and survives, they would have to do that. Now, I don't know if that's possible for them to change it, go to a high rise at one end of that little 2-acre strip. I don't know if that would be not 50 feet, I think it is 50 feet. Yeah, 50 feet radius. Keep it untouched. There are lots of vacant properties, lots of vacant strip malls all over Sterling Heights and several different ones, like down at 14 and Shaner. There's a lot of vacant area. 15 and Shaner, there's some vacancies there where they could put some housing in there. I'm disappointed in the lack of environmental science knowledge demonstrated by the Planning Commission or whoever allowed this to happen. Specifically with old trees, the lack of appreciation of the science of trees. I taught science. I had a trees class when I was in college, a lot of science classes. And I understand it a little bit more, but I'm afraid a lot of you don't, and don't appreciate it as much when you keep giving the line, well, we're going to plant 200 trees or 20 more trees, or we're going to take care of every inch. That you're missing the point. You're missing the point of what that tree provides for us. I just want to read a couple of short paragraphs about what somebody else wrote about it. The cool thing about mature trees is they're like a mother to all the surrounding trees and wildlife. Little, who is an arborist, said, you may have heard of the mycelium network, an underground fungal network uniting all trees, where they communicate with each other with their roots and send nutrients to each other. If one tree needs a bit of nitrogen because of loss during the storm, the surrounding oaks can send nitrogen to that tree, and large mature trees like this chinkapin provide so much. Along with feeding and helping other trees, that chinkapin slows down wind, regulates temperature, and manages stormwater runoff, which they're going to need if they dig up that wetlands and where the floodplain is. Little said, I think we also overlook how important large trees are as a food source for pollinator species like bees, which we are losing rapidly all across the country, if not around the world indeed. And we all like to eat. And bees pollinate so many of the plants that we want to eat, that we need to eat. You may notice all the flowering trees right now. Well, a mature tree is like a meadow in the sky. It provides food and habitat for bees and other insects and birds and squirrels. Now, I know the final decision has not been made on this yet. I hope that EGLE or whoever else is in the state of Michigan and Lansing is going to decide against it and tell them it's not a good idea. Because if they get rid of the wetlands, they're still going to have to provide wetlands and keep it up, which I can't see anyone doing unless they have a master's degree, a doctorate in science, and they're really working in science. I can't see them doing that. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it.
All right, anyone else under communications from citizens? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lisa Graff, again, from Sterling Heights, resident, 29 years. That's a tough act to follow. You're going to hear a lot about the trees today, but I'm going to try to not duplicate. First of all, I really wanted to come back to give you a couple of updates on things after the meeting that you had talked to me about. First, this is the Trees of Michigan book. It's a book that a lot of people reference when you're talking about age of trees. It's incorrect. It's written by a photographer. And my husband's a photographer, no offense against them. It says chinkapin oaks can live to be 100 to 150 years old. And we've quoted that this tree in this council, that it's near its end of life. It is not. The oldest chinkapin oak in the state of Michigan is 344 years old in Worcester Park in Ann Arbor. The oldest chinkapin oak in the United States is in Pennsylvania, and it's called the sacred oak. It's over 500 years old. And as anybody can tell by looking at that tree, it's in great shape. It doesn't have lightning strikes. It doesn't have any type of disease on it. Ann Arbor, by the way, has a site where they list all their champion trees. It's called treesa2.gov, and they list all the trees in the city and how old they are and where they're located as a point of interest. I hope maybe we could do that. The other thing I wanted to address was someone had, I believe it was Ms. Zarowski and maybe also Ms. Koski and Ms. Yarko after the meeting, could we propagate this tree? I did some research. So you can't graft it. You could graft it like you do apple trees. That's one method. It's less than 25% success rate, and it's not the original tree. You can grab acorns. Here's the thing. You guys had City Tree Day where you gave out free trees. We took 2 oaks, my husband and I. The deer immediately ate everything off of that tree, and they're about 3 feet tall. Good news, all the leaves came back the next year, but we had to fence them in. So you need trees about 4 or 5 feet tall from these acorns before they can live on their own against the defense of the deer. I did reach out to Michigan State University and also made another contact through a friend of mine, since my husband and I are master naturalists from Michigan State University certified. I reached out to my master gardener friends, and I contacted Plants for Ecology, a company in Troy, Michigan that does native plants. He referred me to a place that is actually out near Ann Arbor called Wild Type to see if they'd be willing to do this. Also, Michigan State hasn't gotten back to me yet of whether they'd be willing to care for these trees for 5, maybe 6 years if they have some type of program that they could do that. So I am totally not in favor of cutting down that tree. You know that. I also echo the fact that you cannot replace 200 trees that are 2 inches in diameter and equate it to that tree. From a wildlife perspective, it just doesn't work well. But at least we can maybe also get some more trees for the city. So we'll see. I'll let you know what comes out of that. And then the other thing, I have 2 questions, and the 2 questions are this. The first is, should Eagle or some other reason stop this development, what is the city going to do with that property? I don't know if that question's been asked, so I'm just going to put it out there. I will look at the recording to see if you answer, and you may not have the answer this week, whenever. I'll talk to Dr. Parcell. And the other thing is, was any other alternative location already reviewed for the apartment complex that's planned to go there? I don't know if any other locations were considered. We were looking at some of the Van Dyke corridor stuff tonight at the session that they had. Seems like there's some opportunity. So with that, I just want to again thank you all for your service. I hope you get out of here a lot sooner than you did last time, and have a great week. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else under communications? Mr. Bauer?
So 2 things. One is, since they were talking about the second project here, I've been in correspondence with Eagle, a couple different people in Eagle, and it was interesting to note that I know it's always been said, well, it's approved by Eagle, it's approved by FEMA and stuff, and this is in an email that he sent to me that I just want to read one line, that's all it's important. It says, when Eagle issues a permit, it is not a guarantee that the project will not flood or even will not cause flooding elsewhere. It is only that the project meets the requirements of the law. So there's no guarantee that it won't cause problems someplace else. But the other reason that I really came for is 2 weeks ago, I asked you a question about the appropriations request that Ron Robinson had asked for the CCF for a tiny home project. And I told you that it states in partnership with the city of Sterling Heights. And I asked you, did you actually form a partnership? Maybe you didn't know anything about it. So it either could be a yes, that we did, and we approved it on this day, because I don't think the city would be able to act in a partnership capacity without approval of the city council, or no, we didn't, and that's all I'm asking. And I hope I can get an answer. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bauer. Mr. Inks?
Hey, thanks. Sterling Heights resident. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening to you, City Council, Mr. Vanderpool, Mr. Koszubski, and the rest of City Administration. Earlier this evening, the city held its first community workshop as part of a climate and health adaptation program, technical assistance program that the city is involved with the Department of Health and Human Services and Michigan State University Extension. I had a good turnout and a lot of good involvement from residents, and given the discussion tonight about North Van Dyke and concerns about flooding, I just wanted to highlight that there are going to be 2 additional workshops that focus on health and climate adaptation in North Van Dyke and other areas throughout the city that are going to be held in the fall and then the winter, and then the end result of that is going to be a report that kind of outlines some steps that the city can take for ways that we can adapt to climate change and mitigate climate change and the health and environmental concerns that come with that, including flooding. So just wanted to highlight that for residents, if any residents want to get involved with that. Alexis Richards, the sustainability planner, is kind of spearheading that project, so they can get her contact information on the website, but I'm sure that Sustainability Commission and City Administration would love to have more involvement and hopefully more input at future workshops. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Inks. Anyone else under communications? If not, I'll close that portion and we'll go on to reports from city administration. Anything tonight, Mr. Vanderpool?
Nothing further, Mayor, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Koszubski, anything tonight?
No closed session tonight.
Okay, council reports, new business, anything?
Mr.
Mrs.
Mayor?
Koski?
Yes, I have basically 2 questions through the chair to Mr. Vanderpool. As you know, I live off of Clinton River Road. I've had a couple residents contact me. Question is, and can you help me out and let them know the status of the Clinton River Road repair and funding?
Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilwoman Koski, the Clinton River Road project, just by way of review, will be a complete reconstruction between Hayes and Van Dyke, North Van Dyke. The project is currently, well, first, the cost will be all in about $10 million, so it is a significant project. Most of it is grant funded through a federal grant that we obtained a couple of years ago. That grant is solidified, finalized, and everything is good there. We're currently in the engineering phase of the project, so that will continue the rest of this year into the winter. We are hopeful that we'll be under construction next construction season in 2026. It's a massive project. It's going to take a couple of years to complete, but that's where we're at. There will be no construction in 2025. It's all engineering work right now. And so we have this promoted on our Cone Zone site. We'll continue to provide updates. There will be signage going up very soon. The signage will be semi-permanent to get us through a few years, so residents, anyone traveling along Clinton River Road knows the timeline and what's forthcoming. So they won't be banners. This will be more sturdy signage that will be informational, and we'll be able to provide updates along the way. So more to come. We look forward to getting through the engineering and into construction. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vanderpool.
One other question through the chair to Mr. Vanderpool. In the past, any property that backs to a major thoroughfare, as far as the easement is concerned, the city has cut the grass simply because it's very difficult to take your lawnmower down your street and up the other street and then back around to get to the main street. Talking about Hayes Road and Clinton River Road again. Hayes Road, they're out there cutting it every couple of weeks, the easements. As they turn and come down Clinton River Road, there are a couple of houses that back to Clinton River Road. In the past, they have always cut those easements because it's just too difficult for the homeowners to bring their lawnmower up the cul-de-sac and down the other street and back around to get out to Hayes Road. Just recently, the gentleman that was doing the cutting there did not cut a couple of houses. Can you tell me if we have changed our process, what we have done in the past? Can you check it out and let us know?
Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilwoman Koski, I'd be happy to research a little further. I'll just say, as a rule, if there's not access from the rear yard to the right-of-way area, then that is mowed. You brought up by the city. You brought up the example of Hayes Road. In many of those cases, there is no way to get access behind to cut that right-of-way, so the city cuts that right-of-way. And there are a few exceptions, but I'll provide you an update in your Thursday packet as to what exactly the criteria is. In the area you just mentioned, it could be that our contractor was improperly cutting it, that they do have access, but I'm not sure. So I hate to say that's the case. I will report back to you in the city council.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Koski. Anyone else?
Mayor, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Radke.
just briefly, I know we talked about this, but I'm getting a lot of questions about it too. What is the status of the 14-mile road repair from Maple Lane to Mound? Through Chair to Mr. Vanderpool.
Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Radke, from Maple Lane to Mound, that project will start later this year. Don't quote me on the month. I think it's August, and will be finished up by year end. So it is the latter part of this year. It's not going to start before August. It's not a complete reconstruction, so it'll go pretty quickly once it does start, but it's in desperate need of being done. It will be done this year. Thank you.
Yeah, 14-mile from Maple Lane to Van Dyke, I think, is the worst segment and desperately needs repair. That's all
I will say, it is going to be cleaned up significantly. The section right at Van Dyke where you have that concrete median with weeds in it all the time, it's very unsightly. That whole area right there where it joins needs to be cleaned up, and this project will do it. We're going to have a green belt there. It'll be much more aesthetically pleasing. It's going to look really nice in addition to being a new road.
Excellent. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Mrs. Sarowski.
Yep, thank you, Mayor. So while we're on asking about roads, through the chair to Mr. Vanderpool, I live right off of 18 Mile Road. What's the status on, when is that going to be finished? I made a wrong turn and kind of got stuck there today.
Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem Sarowski, you're saying 18 Mile Road from Utica over to essentially the new bridge?
No, 18 Mile Road from Mound to Van Dyke.
Yeah, that's a new.
Okay, that's.
So that, just by way of review, 18 Mile Road will be resurfaced from Utica to close to Mound. Now, not all the way to Mound because that's just done. So just beyond the bridge, I think there's a small section. The bridge is under replacement as we speak, so the road's still closed. Once the bridge is completed, that's still going to take another couple months. Again, the latter part of this construction season, so again, from August to the end of the year, don't quote me on that start date, but it will be completed this year. So you're going to have a nice new 18-mile road from Utica past the bridge.
Very grateful, thank you. Okay, that's all I have for you.
I'm
no,
sorry.
It's all
No, I thought you were done.
No, almost. Just wanted to remind the residents that the Sterling Heights Memorial Day Parade is coming up next Monday. And so we look forward to seeing you all there. Please come. The weather looks like it's going to be, well, slightly cool, high 60s to maybe 70s. And it should be a beautiful day. And it's always so fun, and it's wonderful parades. Who doesn't love a parade? So I'm hoping to see you all there. Whoever can come, please come. And we do tape it, but it's never the same. So we look forward to seeing you. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much, Mrs. Schmidt.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. Talking about 14 Mile, when that project is being completed, are we eliminating the Jersey turn at Van Dyke? By the way, people from Jersey don't call them Jersey turns.
Michigan turns.
Jug handles, yeah.
Jug handle turn, yeah.
Jug handle turn.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Schmidt, unfortunately, that is not being eliminated, so that will be there. MDOT did sign off on a couple of them being eliminated. One was at Metro, the other was at 15 Mile Road. Unfortunately, due to various measures they look at, that one did not qualify for elimination. Higher traffic counts, a little more complicated there, but so the short answer is no.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. Anyone else? Mrs. Zarko?
Mayor Taylor, yes. Through the chair to either Mr. Vanderpool or Mr. Koszewski, do they have an answer for Mr. Bauer about the partnership he was referring to or lack of?
Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilwoman Zarko, the answer is no, there is no partnership, so to speak. We certainly meet with developers regularly. We talk about projects. We certainly, as I've informed City Council, we have talked about a project, a residential, single-family, owner-occupied housing project at 15 and Bryan. We're still working on that. There's no site plan. There's nothing definitive to share with the City Council, not to mention the public. But in reference to an established partnership, the answer is no.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Okay. Council, anyone else? I forget. I've lost track. I think we've only got me and you left, Henry. Here's what I think. Deanna talked. She got first. She got the first crack.
Falling asleep.
She had two questions. Good questions.
She did not recall.
Yeah, look, I think, you know, we talk like this a lot. You know, I'll say, you know, we have a great partnership with the Chaldean Community Foundation. The Chaldean Community Foundation, when Martin Mann is speaking, he'll say we have a great partnership with the city of Sterling Heights. And then I don't think it really means anything more than that. That they're pursuing some funding for a project that we've talked publicly about. In the past, not this specific location, but we've talked about tiny home communities and finding unique housing opportunities for people that maybe don't have the ability to either A, buy a single-family home here, or B, find an apartment here, and want something unique and different. So we're looking at those opportunities, and I think that's all that it is. Thank you to Mayor Pro Tem Sarowski for bringing up the Memorial Day Parade. Looking very much forward to that this Monday, and hope everyone has a great Memorial Day weekend. And thank you to my father for bringing my two boys here to watch their government in action. They've since gone home. It's certainly, it's past the scheduled bedtime, but I say scheduled bedtime for a reason. But council, with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move, support.
Been moved and supported with no discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.